You all know the drill. It's a Frank Grillo movie. I'm definitely reviewing it. So let's jump into that right now. What's up, folks, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing the new film Lamborghini, the man behind the legend, in theaters, on demand, and digital, November 18th. Yep, I said it, Lamborghini, and Frank Grillo's in it. So yes, I do have to tell you all that, yep, Frank Grillo will not be performing any type of combat and martial arts stunts in this film. I know, because that's what I look for too. But no, I was actually really excited to check this out for a couple of reasons. One, because I thought that Frank Grillo really stepping outside of his norm to do a biopic. Ferruccio Lamborghini, learning about this guy who created one of the most iconic car brands in all of history. You know, you say Lamborghini, you mentioned Ferrari, which is a very interesting rivalry between the two of them, which is something I learned in this documentary. But yeah, we just had this other film called Ford versus Ferrari, which is absolutely amazing. So like, knowing that this was a story about Lamborghini with Frank Grillo, and then actually becomes a story of Lamborghini versus Ferrari. It's not as big as that film, but it certainly feels like it. The production feels good. It tells a good story. The pacing's well. You learn a lot of information. And I thought that Frank performance as Ferruccio Lamborghini did a fantastic job. I was with him the entire time, just the ups and downs of building this empire and then displaying such knowledge about this brand, and then the rivalry with Enzo Ferrari. You know, it's a lot that goes on in this film. You do have some other folks attached to this as well too. One being Mira Sorvino, which is a huge name, Academy Award winner. You have Golden Globe winner in Gabriel Byrne. That is really rounding this off to be a good film on paper alone, but the execution of the film, the production, is super solid. And for this film to really not be advertised as a biopic, but is a biopic, it caught me by surprise. But it gave you a little bit of everything. I mean, there's a little bit of action in it as well too. You got this very you have this race that's kind of happening in this film, which is basically a race between the Lamborghini and the Ferrari, and this rivalry is being depicted through this race, because it's not just a quarter-mile race of who has the fastest car, but it's actually telling a story in its own about, you know, what does it mean to be the first at the finish line? Does that always mean you're the best because you was the first at the finish line? You know, and I think that, like, there's a lot of other little things that you can kind of pick up on that if you notice how it's being shown. You know, there's emotions to each of the drivers and so on. So, but yeah, Ferrari's always been a top dog. And that was everybody's like aim. You know, Ford looked at Ferrari and said, oh, we need the Shelby. You know, and that's that story. But in this case, it's Lamborghini looking at how can we compete with the top dog here, and you know, understanding the history of this iconic brand. And I think that, like, while I did not know much about it, I mean, of course I know what a Lambo is, but not knowing really about the history of it, it truly did give you a lot of not only to respect, but a lot you could take away from it. You know, the first Lambo, the 350 GT. Now I know that, you know, but I would have never guessed that, you know. And I think that, you know, Frank coming in with the heavy accent really brings you into the character. And he goes from a farmer to a mechanic to a car maker to the brand. You know, and they go from tractors, AC and heating, and then obviously to some of the most luxury exotic cars in all of the world here. And there was even a time where we even learned that, like, hey, you know, they wanted to work together. Like, you know, Ferruccio wanted to work for Ferrari because Ferrari did have a major problem in the beginning of their rise, and it had to do with their clutches. And while they have the best car in the world, they had a major flaw in it. And I mean, come on now, if you spend all that money in the car and then unless the transmission start giving you problems, I would be pretty upset too. So if they're not going to fix it and they're not going to expose that this is an issue, then the idea now is like, well, I'm going to do something better. And that's sort of the motivation behind here. And I think that, like, with any inventor, there is challenges, there's setbacks, and, there's people who's not going to believe in you. And then there's the ones that do. And I think that, like, this biopic displayed those key people and moments and folks that were, the big contributions to things going forward. And again, the car race scene was basically a metaphor to the entire story, and as I said, it's not really just about who had the fastest car, what car looked the nicest, and so on, but there was actually storytelling between the two drivers looking at one another, and all sorts of different things. And I think that with the motivation of designing a car to make people forget about Ferrari is actually what we got in the world. When you think about it, you look at a Ferrari, it's Ferrari, but when you look at a Lambo, it's a Lambo. They don't look the same. So, like, understanding that was a key factor into the development of things, I thought was really cool. And the story do touch on a lot about the famous brand. Even the logo design was something that I didn't even think about, but also the car shape, the design, the engineering, and all that other stuff. So whether you're a car enthusiast or not, you're going to get some things from this, that's for sure. And I mean, if you're into engineering, then you're going to get a lot, but for what it is, it's a lot of ups and downs with the story of Ferruccio, but at the end of the day, it's for him to determine, was it all worth it? And that's another little tidbit in the story that's kind of important. So I enjoyed this film, and I think, again, anybody looking for a good biopic, it's an independent film, but it feels like a big production. I can't even lie, like I honestly watched it and said, this looks solid, and you almost forget that's an independent film. And again, you have the likes of Gabriel, the likes of Mira, and then Frank. You got folks that are really phenomenal actors that come in and puts on a performance. You do not have to worry about that one at all. So, but anyway, yeah, check it out. It's based on a true story, and an incredible true story at that. Jump in the comments and let me know your thoughts about it when you do. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews very soon.